Well, honestly, those are the two car questions I get asked all the time, right? What's your favorite car? And why are you always looking for cars? And I always laugh about the one about why are you always looking for cars? Why are you always looking for your next car? Why are you always looking for cars for sale? I had one person go as far as to say, hey, you have a commitment issue. And I'm like, well, I've been married for like 23 years, so it's not a commitment issue. And most of the time that people are asking those questions, honestly, they're not car people, right? These are people, nothing against them, right? But these are people that pick a car because it has four wheels and four seats and will start every time and will get them to work in a reliable fashion and saves gas and is good on gas and all of that. Like it's not about the driving experience. It's basically this is just a mode of transportation. I don't look at cars that way. And for people that aren't car people, the way I look at cars is completely foreign to them in every sense of the way. The destination, even if I'm going to work, going to vacation, have to get wherever I'm going. The destination takes a back seat to the experience of getting there. And that is the driving experience of being in the car. You know, you used to talk about people would go for a Sunday drive, and it's like, why would you go for a Sunday drive? I'm like, totally understand a Sunday drive because sometimes I go for a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, a Sunday drive, right? I will go just to drive and just to experience driving, and I love to do that. And when I try to explain that to people, they have a hard time understanding that. It's kind of like, you know, if you have someone who likes movies and then you someone who is a movie connoisseur and loves movies. You ask the person that likes movies, hey, what's your favorite movie? And they're like, well, Shawshank Redemption. Okay, great. But you ask someone who is a connoisseur of movies, who loves movies, they're going to be like, well, okay, it depends. You know, if we're talking about this director or this style, then this and this and this, and they've got all these different like little asterisks, you know, disclaimers to each one because they watch more movies than we do. They look at movies differently. They understand movies. They understand directing styles and angles and editing and sound. Where a lot of the times most people just watch a blockbuster and go, "Yay, that was great," you know, or "Oh, that made me cry." So when you're talking to someone who just loves movies, you've probably been in that where it's like, okay, I can't compete with that person how they love movies. And Cars is for me the same way. I love cars. Now, I'm not the guy who's probably going to get under the hood and work on cars and spin that. So there's different types of car guys. That's not always my experience. I did all of that with my grandfather, and that was really cool. But I just love cars, and it's not expensive cars or exotic cars necessarily. Yes, there's some Ferraris I love. There's some Lamborghinis. The Miura, I think, is one of the most beautiful cars ever made. I love the Miura. The McLaren F1, I think, is probably the greatest car ever made. I get people make fun of me for that, but I think that was at the time and what they accomplished. I think that was great cars. But then I like some strange cars like a Subaru SVX. You know, why would you love a Subaru SVX? It's unique. It's different. I drove a smart car for 2.5 years, and just kind of made it my daily driver. I loved it so much. It was the convertible. It was like driving a go kart. It was all hands on deck if it was windy outside, or if you got over 90 miles per hour. Hopefully, no one's watching this that would say anything about that. But why are you going 90 miles an hour in a smart car? I don't know. But I just love cars. So it's like movies. I want to see a lot of them. I want to drive a lot of cars and experience cars, and every car has its nuances, right? So for those people that just get in their car, start it, drive to work, you get out, okay, they don't think about the car, but you know, there's a great YouTuber right now, the quirks and features, right? I want to know the quirks and features. I want to know the subtle things that are different between this car and that car, and how did this engineer attack this problem or solve this issue, or did they solve something that wasn't an issue and they actually caused an issue? I like that. So I like cars completely different than, you know, someone who's not a car person. So because of that, I'm just always looking to see what's out there. I spend a ton of time online looking at cars. I have a channel that's all it is about, is just me looking at cars online um, and seeing ones that I find that are unique and cool. And it's funny, people are like, why did you pick that one? Why is that cool? Why is a PT Cruiser cool? Well, for one, it's still running. It's in great shape. Someone took care of it, and that shows me that someone really appreciated and enjoyed that car. So maybe it's a PT Cruiser. The next day it might be a Rambo Lambo, right? Or it might be a Countach, or it might be the Catfish Camaro. So my styles and tastes change dramatically, depending upon just what I happen to find and what I happen to see. The problem with that is when you're looking at that many cars all the time, well, like you want to buy cars all the time. And a car in a picture is a lot different than, I owned a 1985 Ford EXP. Absolutely loved that car. That was really my first car. Loved that thing. If I could find one, I'd buy it. And you see them and you romanticize when you see them online. Of course, they're sold, but when you get it, it's going to smell like a 1985 Ford EXP. It's going to have some work. It's going to need some things. So there's always that understanding that you can't run out and buy every car. And if I see a cool car, then I'm like, oh, I want that, and I'll go look at all of them. I saw basically a Fairlady. I saw a 300Z driving just the other day. I think I posted it on one of the channels, and I think it was orange. Sounded good, looked good. That was a great car. It's kind of like an RX-7, though. You got to know there's going to be some things you got to take care of with those cars. Those were cutting edge technology at the time, but I don't care. When non-car people are like, why would you want a car that's not reliable? I'm like, because that's not what this is about. This is about the driving experience. I do laugh. I had an Alfa Romeo Stelvio SUV. I've always been a car guy because I love the way cars drive. And then I was driving a Stelvio. I had to go to Arizona, actually for a high school reunion. And then I got a Stelvio off of one of the peer-to-peer apps, and I was going to do it for the YouTube channel, and I fell in love with that car, or that SUV. Like, it was the first SUV I'd ever driven, and we've owned many SUVs. My wife drives typically those that drove like a car. Like, it felt like a car, it handled like a car, accelerated like a car. Like, I mean, Alfa Romeo had tuned that thing, and I fell in love with it. So when I came back, I went and I bought one. I bought a Misano Blue, Alfa Romeo Stelvio TI, whatever. Sport, I think it was the TI Sport, yes. The paddle shifters loaded with everything, all-wheel drive, and my gosh, that was just the greatest car. I love the car for many reasons. One, it drove great, it handled great, it accelerated great. I just love the feeling I had when I drove it. And I'm not like one that needs to show off. Like, I don't buy a car so that people are like, "Ooh, look at that." But it was a car that caused a lot of conversation because people just didn't know exactly what it was. Like, they knew it was different. But they didn't know. And then I was really surprised, being a car person, I knew the name Alfa Romeo. I mean, I just knew Alfa Romeo, the legacy that they have, right, in racing and motorsports and everything. So Alfa Romeo, but when you would tell people Alfa Romeo, they're like, "Yeah, I don't know what that is." And it was funny. I would always, like, non-car people would be like, "Oh, is this like the new Kia?" And I love Kias. I've owned 6 or 7 of them, but no, it's not the new Kia, or it's, not the new Honda, but it's Alfa Romeo. But I love that car, and I love driving it. Problem I had with that one is they are handmade to a certain extent. Sometimes you don't get a good one, and that particular one just wasn't a good one. And I had bought it used, but only with like 16,000 miles on it, and I drove it till about 40,000 miles. The warranty was about to be up, and I had some serious issues of being stranded here and there. So I decided that for my family, we were going to be doing a lot of traveling with soccer, that I needed to get rid of it. I couldn't, me, if I'm by myself, yeah, whatever. I can do Uber or something if I need to get somewhere. But I can't take the family, load them up, and go out not feeling completely safe in the car. And Alfa Romeo's customer service and their service centers and all that were fantastic. Like, they took care of me in the car, but family-wise. So I got rid of the Stelvio, and I picked up I needed a car that could put a lot of miles on. So I got an Atlas, Volkswagen Atlas SEL R line. Really cool truck. Like, you can fit 7 or 8 in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8's probably the most you ever want to. I might have had 9 in there once. But, completely, like, from a non-car person, like, this is the perfect car because you it's just so much utility to it. As a matter of fact, laying down the back seats, I had 20 folding chairs, 2 folding tables, a 65-inch TV, my computer, and then some other random film stuff because I was going to teach. I teach real estate agents how to do social media and things like that. And I could still fit 5 people. If I just set the seats up right, I could still fit 5 people. I didn't, but I could have. And I'm like, dang, that thing's great. But my whole family, after I bought it, was like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, you're driving 5 miles under the speed limit. And not to put anybody on notice, but that's not me. Like, that's not where I drive. I might drive a little faster than that. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, do you hate this Volkswagen? I'm like, no, I really like this Volkswagen. The Volkswagen's really good. And so I finally started realizing I am driving, like, I'm letting people in that I shouldn't let in, and I'm driving slower. And then I realized I'm driving depressed. And my family was laughing at me. You're driving depressed. Why are you driving depressed? I'm like, I don't know. I like to drive lots of different cars. And like I say, this Volkswagen Atlas is a great car. Like, anybody should be proud to have it. I'm proud to have it. It looks good. I love it. But then I realized my wife has a Stinger GT, and that's a great car. And then my son has a Forte GT line. Like I say, we like Kias. And I think I got in his car, and I was driving somewhere, and it dawned on me, what's going on? I love cars. I love the way they handle. I love the way, I love how a car feels, like taking a car on a track, things like that. I love that. The Alfa Romeo had that, and the Alfa Romeo is my favorite car ever, of all the cars I've had. And I've had, like, Stealths. I mean, I've Thunderbirds. I've had all kinds of different cars that I've loved all of them. So many I can't really count them all. I think we talked about the Smart car, which is kind of a weird one. But anyway, Jeeps and all that. But I love the Alfa Romeo. But it was an SUV, but it handled like a car. So the Volkswagen handles like an SUV. A good SUV, good handling SUV, but an SUV. And that's why I was depressed, because I like a car that handles like a car. I want a car that handles well. And there's some sedans that handles well too. I had a Kia Optima Turbo. What was that? XLSX, whatever. It was top of the line, really cool. Had the stitched seats, and like, that thing was great. It handled great, and it was fast. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of all over the place. I don't know how much time we have, but my wife had, I think she was on her second Sorento. She drove my car one day. Maybe I took her car in to get serviced or something, and that's when she found out she loves a fast car. So then she went and got the Stinger GT, and that thing is fast. Yeah, that thing's really cool. I love that car. That's a super cool car. And that's when I just realized, okay, I need to enjoy the drive, and that's why I love cars. And so I'm going to need to get another car here. I'm probably going to do something in the spring. And honestly, I shouldn't do it. But I've talked to a lot of people that have Alfa Romeos. Don't get me wrong, Fiat's the parent company, and they're known for reliability issues. But most people did not have the amount of issues that I had with my Stelvio. So I think I might be able to get another one. And fingers crossed this time that it's a good one, but we'll see. So driving depressed. I don't drive as depressed that much now in the Atlas, because I understand why I drive the way I do. And again, like, if you're thinking about getting an SUV and you need to haul a lot of people and you want good features and you want something that feels solid, like your family's safe in it and all of that, like, I don't think you can beat an Atlas. I love the Tellurides. I love there's a lot of great SUVs out there. I've looked at a lot of them. But it feels like it gives you the feeling of a Tahoe or a Suburban as far as size and comfort inside, but not in that package, in a smaller package. Now, if you get the Cross, like the Cross Sport and whatnot, that's a great car, but it doesn't have the third row. I needed the third row, and so I got the R line. I think it's R line, not R type. Maybe R type, R line. But it's super, super good. So that's a long way of coming around to, why am I always looking at cars? Because I love them. I want to drive them all, and I appreciate them. Now, when people ask me what's my favorite car, it used to be my next one, because I drive this one. I appreciate this one. I found out what all the quirks and features were. I found out what it was doing, and I loved it. And then I was ready to, let's go find the next one. When I found the Alfa Romeo, though, that's where it stopped. That's where I'm like, no, I love this one. I do wish that they would make a larger one, if they can make one that handles the way that the Stelvio does. It would be cool to have a third row option in the Alfa Romeo and be able to put more people in there. I just don't know, can they pull it off and still have the same feel, driving experience? Because the driving experience is what's so much more important to me. I have not made the move to electric vehicles yet. Tesla, good car. I have a friend that she has one. It's awesome. I didn't realize, because I haven't really done as much videos or anything really on Tesla. I haven't really done much there at all. That like some of those options are monthly, like the self-driving, and like when you call it from valet or parking, like those are additional monthly charges over and above what you pay for the car. Or maybe you can pay like a lump sum up front and get those while you own the car. I didn't realize that. That's actually a pretty crazy business model. And I was thinking, business model for car companies, that's pretty good to have that ongoing. And honestly, I think most car companies, although it would kind of suck for us as the consumer, they need to have some kind of residual built into the car when it sells, however that is, to kind of help them offset. I know they do it now with the pre-owned cars that they will certify and help with warranty, and they're trying to do it that way. But I think there's some other creative ways that they could do where they could still be tied to a car for the life of that car in a certain way. There would be some financing issues that would need to change. But I think they need to look at that because cars are getting more and more expensive to develop and to stay on top of. Technology is not getting any cheaper to do research on and develop. And so I think they going to need to find some other creative ways to stay involved with that. So, I showed a Matchbox. You see some behind me. I've got some cars up on the wall behind me. I have a box over here. I probably just put 200 Hot Wheels in that were here under my desk or on my desk. Yeah, I love Hot Wheels and Matchbox. Of course, Matchbox owned by the same company. Everybody's like, "Why?" I don't go to the store without stopping by the Hot Wheels aisle just to see what they have and see what's out there. And why? I don't know. I just love them. That everybody said that the man's most expensive hobby started with a $1 purchase, and that's about true. Going and buying a Hot Wheels car. I prefer more Hot Wheels that are made off of real cars. I'm not necessarily into the ones that are, just like I've got a donut one up there, and I think there's some dinosaur ones in that. I prefer more ones that are made off of real cars. But yeah, I definitely love my cars. I've got a Honda here. That one's pretty cool. I've got a Stealth. I've got an Alfa Romeo. I have the Giulia, but I don't have a Stelvio because I don't think they've made a Stelvio. But yeah, I'm absolutely a Hot Wheels fan. I had a channel for a while that was just Hot Wheels, and I enjoyed doing that. It's just time-wise trying to do it all. But yeah, I don't go to the store that I don't buy 2, 3, 4, 5 Hot Wheels. And I show them on my channels too. I'll show when I come across a cool Hot Wheels. I'm like, hey, this one's pretty cool. And I like watching the videos where it's just like Hot Wheels hunting and what did they find today. And it's pretty interesting. I was at a big store yesterday, and like there was nothing on the racks at all. Yet laying down at the bottom, I found the SVX, so I grabbed that one. I don't know if you guys can see it really well. I probably just screwed up the focus on the camera. And then, you go back, it's empty, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a lot of them. I haven't found a treasure hunt. I would love to find a treasure hunt. Have not found a treasure hunt. I almost think you have to know somebody to come across a treasure hunt, because I do think people probably go through them when they hang them on the hooks, but that's okay. But I haven't found a treasure hunt yet. But one of these days, I do have an error. I've got one back here. It's not necessarily an error. It's more of a manufacturing error. There is some manufacturing tape inside on the car itself. So that's kind of funny. So I've got that back there. When it comes to cars, Hot Wheels, anything automotive related, I could talk forever. As you can see, I do, and I'll probably keep doing that. Thank you for your questions. Just keep those coming. I can answer those as much as possible. Cars that you like to see, let me know what those are. I like just when I find cars in the wild. I was driving back today. We had a huge ice storm in North Texas, and there was a Kia. Gosh, was it a Rio? And I can't even remember what it was. I was so busy focused that they had obviously slid across the ice and just tore the wheels on the passenger side. They are just completely horizontal on both wheels, and like that's super sad. But I went out and filmed that. So sometimes I film cars. I was filming a car where was I? I was in Fort Worth, I believe. and it was, and I can't remember what the car was at the moment. It was a Honda, I believe, an SUV, but it had a color, this color I had not seen before. It was a brand new one. And so I was filming it, and this lady comes walking by, and she goes, "Filming that car?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, that color is amazing. It turned out to be hers, which is really cool. So I haven't had any issues where people have gotten mad at me for filming. A lot of the times that they have a really nice car, they kind of get excited about it. I filmed an Isuzu Via Cross. I was filming it, and the guy was in it, and I didn't quite see him because of the way the shadows had hit the windshield. And then he got out, and we had a great conversation. And he had been overseas with the Marines and had fallen in love with the Via Cross and got one. And he keeps that one running, which power to him because there's no parts for those things anywhere. I almost bought one, and whatever was broken on it, we could not find a replacement part, so I ended up not getting it. But those are super, super cool cars, too. They're all cool. Every car is cool. I'm driving very smart cars right now. My wife is driving the Stinger, so she's got a cool car. I've got an amazing Atlas, but here soon I'll be adding a cool car back to the fold. So keep your questions coming. Let me know. Let's talk about cars. If you just want to talk about cars, I love that too. Anything car related, I am all about. So be sure to subscribe, follow, like, all that kind of stuff. It helps me. It helps the channels. Be sure to check out all our shorts. I do a ton of shorts, not just car related. Everything from comedy to sketch comedy to just crazy and zany things I see. A lot of the time they're car related things I see in the parking lot, bad parking jobs, things like that. But be sure to watch all those too.